Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Woke Wednesdays in Real Estate. I'm Sean LaRue with Franklin Loan Center. I'm having a great day and I hope you are too. Thank you so much for joining me. Today we're going to be talking about vesting and what vesting is and the best way in order for you to take ownership on title of your purchase. First and foremost, I want to let you guys know I am not your attorney, I am not your CPA, I am not your financial planner. So please, everything I say in this video, verify with the people who are specifically helping you with your financial planning, your estate planning, and all of that jazz, because what I say may not necessarily apply to you, or maybe what I'm saying may apply to you and you may want to look at what's going to work best. But we're going to be talking about vesting and some of the things to consider, how to hold title on your property. So I always get the question, what's the difference between how I'm listed on title and who goes on the loan? Okay, very, very simple. The loan is who is liable for repaying the debt. Vesting is the vehicle and how you choose to hold ownership interest in your property. So who's on the loan? That's the liability. Who's on title? That's ownership. You do not need to be on the loan in order to be on title. And you don't need to be on title if you're on the loan. So those two things can vary depending on your situation. So there are 4 different types of vesting vehicles that are most common, and they are tenancy in common, joint tenancy, community property, and community property with rights of survivorship. Each one is a little bit different. Each one applies to different buyers or your situation differently, depending on how you want to do your estate planning and what the best vehicle, if the property is a partnership, how it's going to flow through in case something were to happen to one of the owners. Vesting, you're also going to want to make sure that you have a will in place. A will is very important to avoid the probate process, which would take the rights of the homeowner of the deceased person, and it actually turns that equity or that asset over to the state to be ruled on who's the next successful heir. So we'll get into probate and some other things in a different video, but that's one thing with the vesting. You'll want to make sure you have a will in place behind it to make sure that your property is being transferred how you see fit and how it's best for your particular situation. Tenancy in common is 2 or more persons, and ownership can actually be divided how they see fit. It doesn't have to be 50-50, it could be 50-50, it could be 80-20, could be 60-40. In joint tenancy, you guys actually get to decide if you want it to be 50-50 or what ownership interest split you want it to be. With joint tenancy, you can also transfer the property with your specific interests to other owners as well, depending on how you guys work everything out. So if you are, if there's 2 people on the loan, then the second person could transfer the property to another owner or sell their interest of said property specifically between owner B and buyer A. Or vice versa, but you can actually sell your interest individually. Joint tenancy is holding of an estate or property jointly between 2 or more parties, and the share is passing to the other upon their death. Tenancy in common is 2 people holding title jointly on said property, and what happens with joint tenancy is that their share is actually transferred to the other owner upon their death. So it's 50-50, and then if one of the homeowners passes away, it will go directly towards the other homeowner's interests. So they'll just keep the property and it'll be transferred just with them. Community property is the next option, and community property with rights of survivorship are the next two. So community property with rights of survivorship, when a property is held as joint tenants in community property states, each spouse is prohibited from willing away his or her property interest. The spouse's share of property is automatically given to the surviving spouse. So that's one way to avoid that probate situation I was talking about. Community property is a marital property regime under which most property acquired during the marriage, except of course for gifts and other inheritances. The community property is owned jointly by both spouses and divided upon divorce, annulment, or death. And lastly, if you hold community property with rights of survivorship, then when one spouse dies, the other will automatically own the community property. So with rights of survivorship, the owner who stays with us, they assume all or 100% ownership of said property upon their death. So depending on your situation, how you want to protect yourself, how you want to protect your estate will determine the best course of action and how you should hold title to your property. So talk to your title officer or your escrow officer to get some more information on what's best for you. But more importantly, talk to your financial planner, your CPA, or your attorney to determine what's best and how to protect your property for the future and what's best for you guys. So thank you so much for joining me on this episode of What is Vesting and the differences between the liability of the mortgage and the ownership vehicle. We've got the loan for liability and vesting is the ownership. I've had so much fun delivering this to you guys today. Thank you so much for joining me. If you liked it, please say something in the comments. If you know of somebody who might enjoy this information or they're thinking about buying, tag them below in the comments. Remember to subscribe and don't forget to hit that bell to get more notifications on Woke Wednesdays in Real Estate and my other series, Monday Mortgage Madness, for all of your information regarding home loans, financing in today's market. Remember, stay hungry and stay positive. I'll catch you on the next episode. Thank you so much for joining me.